which is Home Safety 101. And we have the privilege of having a wonderful presenter with us who is Kim Bailey. And I'll tell you a little bit about Kim before I turn it over to her. But Kim Bailey has worked in the field of gerontology as a lecturer and aging expert for 30 years. She holds a Master of Science degree in gerontology and a bachelor's in sociology, both from Cal State Fullerton. And Miss Bailey is the program and education specialist with the Alzheimer's Orange County, where she's responsible for developing and presenting programs and education for families and professionals throughout the community. Miss Bailey has a long history of academic, corporate, and nonprofit experience. And so, with that, thank you again, Kim, for being here. And I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen and I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, that sounds great. Let's see if we can do this transition. Hi, everybody. I'm so glad to see you, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. And let's see. Everybody see this okay?
So, right now, it looks like, there we go. Perfect. Full screen.
Okay.
Looks great. Thank you.
Okay, Rachel, thank you so much for the introduction. And I just want to say a couple words about our collaboration. You know, both of these organizations have been around for over 30 years, and I think we've been collaborating that entire time. And so when you're caregiving for someone, particularly if they have a cognitive impairment, it's a kind of a long, brutal path. And use more help is better than less help. So use both of us if you can. And I promise that we'll try to do things to complement the services that Rachel's group provides. And we're very happy to do so. So also, I wanted to mention that Rachel said something about questions. Just interrupt me. That's fine. Just take yourself off mute and talk to me, or put something in the chat if you like. And I'm very casual in the way I present. And so, this isn't like, I don't want this to be too formal. I want to hear from you all as well. Okay. So we are going to talk today about how to age safely at home and how we can make some changes to our homes to make that possible for people to stay there. And why is that so important? Because people want to stay in their own home, don't they? They don't necessarily want to go and live in long-term care, although there might be some exceptions to that. But a great many of us just want to be home, where home is where the heart is. So let's learn together how to make the home safe. And you probably know about a lot of these things already, but it'll be good review for you. And if you're dealing with someone with dementia, we want to have a better understanding of how that really changes the safety needs. And we're going to just do a walkthrough of every room in the house. Um, and just I'll share some tips for each and every area of your home. And when you leave here today, you'll have some clear next steps that you can apply immediately. And by that, I mean that we have developed a little handbook for you, which Rachel's going to send out along with the slides and some other handouts. But this workbook will actually take into consideration all the things that we're talking about today, give you places to write down your thoughts and your ideas and your needs, and it'll help you to keep everything organized in one place. So our hope is that will be very helpful to you. All right. So why does this matter so much? Why are we all here? Because as I said, most people, when queried, they want to age in place, living at home. However, the leading cause of death in older adults is falls. And so we want to do everything we can to prevent that from happening to you in your home. And, if we've got a bunch of hazards in our homes, that only increases the risk of falls and other negative outcomes. So we'll learn today how we can make some small changes, maybe some big changes. It depends on what your needs are. But I guarantee you that even if you make small changes, it's going to help you to reduce or even prevent major incidents from happening. And that is what we're all about. My best friend and I walk every day after work, and we always tell each other, don't fall, don't fall, right? We actually walk around a high school track because it's flat and level and well lit and safe. So safety is something that's got to be sort of top of mind in your home and outside of your home, and especially if you're caring for someone. So something could happen to them, something could happen to you. And what we're about today is trying to prevent that. So let's see. Aging in place emphasizes mobility and comfort, while dementia-specific safety addresses unique challenges. So adapting our home environments encourages us, it enables us to remain independent for longer. So some of the things that we are concerned about are mobility, balance, vision, all of those things. And if we have dementia, that means that our memory and judgment are affected. And that means that we're at an increased risk for making unsafe decisions. So, all this to say that safety needs change over time. So, what you might need today in your home might change over the next few years. And so, we want to always be reassessing what needs are there and addressing them. What kind of needs do you see in your own homes? Would anyone like to share with me? I'm going to hope that people aren't shy with me because I'm pretty welcoming, so you don't have to be afraid of me. Don't be shy. What kinds of things do you see in your home that might be a concern?
I, I would say for me it's stairs. I still have stairs, and I don't know if a ramp will be needed in the
Okay.
future.
Okay, so you've got stairs inside,
Outside.
outside. Okay. Okay. What else?
I
What else are
see
you seeing? Pardon?
Maria has her hand up. Maria, you're welcome to unmute and share.
Okay. Um, I was going to say shower and next to toilet also.
Okay, so concerns with the bathroom.
Bathroom. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes,
Yes, Guadalupe.
the shower.
The shower again. Okay. Anybody else?
This is Susan. I recently made a change that really made so much difference. As I had the bathroom is smallish, but not too small. But anyhow, when the door opened inward into the bathroom, created a situation where my husband could fall the other side of the door, and I couldn't get it open. Plus, it just was awkward with the walker. Now he just transitioned to the walker solely.
Okay.
So we had a barn door type situation replace the swinging door.
Okay.
So I did just solve one, but I do keep finding him on the floor, so I need more.
Okay. So that's that barn door. I just want to explain for people that don't know, that's a sliding door. So you just push it open. You just push it from side to side, as opposed to it opening out or it opening in. So you maximize your space that way. And it really helps with the walker. So that was really a great fit for your retrofit for your home, Susan. And we'll talk more about falls, and then it's tough. It's really tough. Pat, you have your hand up.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think I hit the button right. I'm taking care of someone who lives by himself in a two-story house, so we do have the stairs, but my concern is so much clutter And I know you're supposed to try to make things simpler and less confusion and distractions, but he has got rugs everywhere. He's got cleaning chemicals everywhere. He's got expired foods, some of which I've been able to address, but he thinks I'm overdoing the safety aspect of everything I talk about. So that's my
Mhm.
struggle.
Okay.
One of them. That's one of them. Yeah.
Sounds like you've got quite a list. Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned the clutter and the rugs, the expired food, and what was the other concern you had?
The
The
cleaning,
chemicals.
oh, cleaning supplies everywhere.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we are going to talk about all these things throughout the course of this class today, and anything else that you come up with as well. But I have a question for you. What part of the home do you think is the most dangerous for older adults? Anybody have any ideas?
The bathroom.
Yep. And Guadalupe, you were the person who was mentioning the bathroom, the toilet, as well as the shower, right?
Yes.
So it's absolutely true that um, most falls actually occur in the bathroom and stairways. So some of you mentioned the stairs. And actually all the rooms, bathroom, stairs, kitchen, and bedroom, they can all be dangerous. But I think the bathroom is definitely up there, probably number one. And then what happens when the person you're caring for has dementia? So then you've got these additional concerns, not just the falling, but they may be forgetting to turn things off. The stove comes immediately to mind when I see that. They don't really notice or recognize things as being hazardous. They may exhibit poor judgment or be very impulsive in their actions. And then we also can often see increased wandering. And when does that take place? Toward the end of the day. So we see what we call that sundown syndrome. People get restless and are more inclined to want to try and go somewhere toward the end of the day. And we're not sure why, but people with dementia, as the light starts to change and the sun starts to go down, they often have a sense of urgency, like they're supposed to be somewhere. Maybe they think they're supposed to go pick up kids from school, or maybe they think they're at work and it's 5 o'clock and time to go home. So you see, sort of a lot more of a risk of wandering at that time too. And it's made worse by some of these safety hazards that we talked about. Somebody mentioned clutter. So that can really make people with dementia more agitated when there's a lot of clutter around the house. So we want to keep these things in mind when we're caring for someone with a cognitive impairment. And we really want to plan for safety across the whole journey of caregiving. So in the very early stages, we can try to simplify things in the home and take stock and assess and plan ahead. So, you might be thinking, well, things are okay now, but I think pretty soon we're going to need to get some safety features in place in the bathroom. Um, so planning ahead, and you can use this workshop that or the worksheet that I'm going to have Rachel send you to sketch out some of those ideas and some of that planning for the early stage of the caregiving journey. And then as we get through the early stage and get into the middle years of caregiving, we just want to continue to assess and to reduce hazards so that we can reduce the risk of falls, etc. So that means taking care of loose rugs. It means taking care of clutter, making sure that doorways are free, or, the space is free, etc. We also want to look at things like lighting all kinds of considerations to make things easier and safer for them and for us. And then, of course, as we get into the later stages of caregiving, we're focusing on comfort. We're worried about things like transfers, maybe skin safety, safe positioning, and more caregiver support. So what we want to do is reassess sort of continually, try to look at the home through fresh eyes, periodically do a walkthrough, and make sure that the needs are appropriate for where your person is in their journey. So, there's kind of 5 hallmarks of a safe home. We want to have a good fall prevention program in place. We want to reduce confusion. We want to look at our lighting, simplify navigation, and plan for emergencies. So let's talk about that a little bit. We can improve the lighting in all of our major walkways and activity areas. So that could mean night lights. That could mean low lighting by the floor so that people can have an easier time of wayfinding at night. We want to reduce clutter and remove anything that could be a trip hazard. So that means not only the loose rugs, but cords, right? I got out of bed the other night and I started to trip on the computer cord. And that could have had a serious consequence because I live alone. And what if I'd, been knocked out? So, I right away said, okay, I've got to practice what I preach and make sure I'm safe from all of those cords. Um, you can do things like use contrast. You can use labels and visual cues to foster better navigation. So what I mean by that is maybe your person has dementia, or maybe they just are a little confused when they wake up in the middle of the night. That's not unusual to be disoriented when waking up in the middle of the night. So you can leave if there's a bathroom and if there's a master bath in the bedroom, you can leave the door open so they have a visual of the toilet so that they're not fumbling around trying to decide where they're going to use the bathroom. So having the right kind of lighting in there, a night light, and making sure that there's visibility, they can actually see the toilet, can be very helpful. Or perhaps you want to keep the door closed and you put a sign on it that has a picture of a toilet. We want to give people cues and clues to navigate the home more readily. And trust me, if the person has dementia, you can't take that for granted. I mean, we had a gentleman who was an architect and he could not find his way to the bathroom in the home that he designed and built by himself. And so, judgment and, memory, all of that changes with dementia and makes it more difficult to keep our folks safe. Let's see, what else can we do? Yeah, we need to have a plan for emergencies, don't we? And so a lot of times what people will do is gather information and put it on the refrigerator. So I have on my refrigerator, I'm not perfect. I need to work on this, and I'm going to do that because now I'm embarrassed. I do have a list of my medications, and I do have information about Neptune Society. In case of my passing, paramedics would know that I go to Neptune Society for cremation. I also need to put my doctors and my emergency contacts up there. And that should be the case for all of you and for the person you're caring for. So, and there needs to be, beyond that, a plan for emergencies. If something happens to you, who will take care of your loved one? Who is the first call? So everybody needs to have an emergency plan. Everybody. I know I was working with a client. She was actually from Caregiver Resource Center, and she called me and she was getting respite from them, which was wonderful. But she called me and she said, I'm on the floor. The paramedics are coming to get me. My husband has Lewy body and I don't know what to do. So we have to have a backup plan, whether it's neighbors or our kids or, a paid person. We have to have a plan for emergencies in case that happens. We need to, as I said, remove those hazards. There's a little bit of repetition in this PowerPoint, and I think that's okay because we want to really make these points stick. But loose rugs are very dangerous. Not just like the little rugs, but carpeting. I know I was a caregiver for 6 years, and the first thing I did when I moved into my lady's house was get someone out there to fix a ripple in the carpet because there was just like a little hump there. And every time she walked down the hall, her foot would kind of get stuck there. So that was very dangerous. And it was a quick fix, and it had to happen. And then, of course, I already mentioned the electric cords. Keep things out of the path. Get rid of clutter. And this is not always easy to do. In the case of my client, I had to do it when she was asleep. I would actually put a lot of things in my trunk and carry them off later. And sometimes she would go and visit her family, and I would use those occasions to declutter as well. So people tend to have a lot of collections over the years. And so we've all heard about hoarding, but even apart from hoarding, a lot of times we just have a lot of things that we've just hung on to over the years. So, I mean, if there's one thing piece of advice I would give to all of you, it would be to address that in some fashion, if that's you. If it's you, I can normalize it for you because so many people are like that. But, I personally don't want anybody else to have to go through all my things after I pass away. And so I've done a lot of downsizing. And I think that works very well when you're caregiving as well. So all of these things help to improve mobility and reduce the risk of falls. There we go. I mentioned lighting. So these are some of the areas where we need to have better lighting. The hallways, as people are making their way through, need to be well lit. But if there's a floor without carpeting on it, like the one in this photo, what do you see as a problem there? Anybody?
Flipping,
What's that?
flipping.
Yes, absolutely, Susan. Anybody else see something that looks like it might cause problems?
The depth perception is confusing because of the lighting coming in.
It's so confusing. Oh my gosh. So, this might not be a problem for people without dementia, although I tend to think it might still be. I think for all of us, as we age and our vision dims somewhat, we might have problems with glare, reflection, and depth perception. So the other thing about people with dementia is that they see those stripes, which are, actually reflections from the windows, and they may see them as being higher than the floor. So they're kind of trying to pick their way through that. It's almost like a ladder. And they feel that way about stairs too. They don't see what we see. And so we need drapes on those windows in this picture, and we need some handrails along the way to help people, right? And we want to make sure that, I mean, it really needs to be carpeted so that people don't slip, as someone mentioned right away. So we need better lighting in hallways, less ability for people to experience delusions in what they're seeing and what they're looking at. Same thing with the stairs. They're going to misjudge the depth of the stairs, and perhaps even step off the edge by accident. So those are areas of concern. And they require handrails on both sides. When we have stairs, we need handrails on both sides for it to really be safe. And we need ramps sometimes to replace stairs because people just can't manage them. Entryways are another place that can be potentially hazardous. Why? Because people they kind of dump things there. There's a lot of objects and maybe coats and stuff on the walls. Very confusing, and it also invites wandering. So if you have a bunch of, like, a coat rack right by the door, maybe you've got some keys hanging on that and you've got some coats hanging on that. That's an invitation to wander for people. They see those objects and it puts them in that space where they think they're going somewhere. And so they may try to exit. So we almost want to disguise entryways. We don't want to keep purses there, or keys, or hats and gloves, etc. So, all right.
Yeah, this is Susan.
Yes.
I
Yes,
just want to
Susan.
share because we just made Stan just made the transition to the walker. We've had to do a lot of things,
Hmm.
and one of them is to get motion sensor lights, little bar lights that go
Absolutely.
on the molding on the on the floor, because I found that when I kept a light on in the room at night, it disrupted my sleep.
Right.
Right.
So we've got it set up, that the minute his foot hits the floor, the motion sensors detect it, and then they go down the hall to the bathroom. And
Very good.
they're my other favorite toy. It's like they're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes, I'm so glad you mentioned the motion lights. I had it in my notes, but I hadn't brought it up yet, and I think that's really smart. And I think Holly was agreeing with you that you guys need your sleep, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Kim.
Yes.
We don't even know what sleep is. Nice to meet you.
Oh,
Yeah, nice to meet you
yeah.
virtually, Kim.
Nice
Sorry
to
it's
meet you as well, Holly.
sorry it's taken a few years to catch up. But
That's
thank you
okay.
for your time and all that you're doing. Motion
Ah,
lights. Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Great
beautiful.
idea. Can we pull that off in rentals, the motion lights, or
I
do
think
the
so.
do the homeowners have a fit like everything else?
Well, I think you probably just let them know that you're installing them for safety. What do you
Mm,
guys think? I mean, if they're really portable, then you can remove them when you leave the home, if you ever leave. I don't know. I would look at that and just see, like, what has to go into installing them. And if it's a
mm,
real installment, then I guess you need to tell the owners.
And
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
prop them up against the molding.
Okay, well,
Like
there you go. So you didn't really have to fully install them.
I installed one, but I couldn't.
Okay.
But then the sticky thing was too strong to reposition it. So
Yeah.
the next one, I just put between the carpet and the molding. I mean, it doesn't move, so
Yeah.
it's just there. And the other one is right under the bed, so
Okay.
that when its feet hit the ground, it perceives it and turns
Yeah.
it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's other safety devices for bedside, like for people that want to know when their person is up. Like, once a person, and this is what I mean about evaluating as time goes by, once a person really becomes frail on their feet, you're going to want to, you're not going to want to, but you need to be up with them, like when they go to the bathroom. You need to provide an assist. And so for many people, they have an electronic mat so that the moment the person's foot hits the mat, there's a little alarm that goes off and that triggers the assistance that is needed. So,
Kim,
yeah.
do you happen to know the part number, SKU number, where that could be ordered on Amazon? Do
Yeah,
you
just
have a resource for that? Because between the bed alarms and then not working, or different things not working, and none of us have striker type beds at home with the alarms on them,
right, right.
right?
Yeah,
How
I
do
think you just
mhm.
Google them. And let me see,
Yeah,
Maria
okay.
has her hand up. Maybe she
Okay.
knows.
Thanks,
Maria,
Maria.
do you have
Hi,
do
I
you have
just
a
wanted to
resource?
mention that there's two things. One is a lot of those motion lights have are plug-in to hallway, like to any kind of electric socket.
Outlet.
In a
Hmm.
socket, you don't have to mount it to anything, and then
Hmm.
it just turns on with the motion. But my
Oh,
favorite
nice.
toy
Okay.
is we have a ring system at our house, and there's a motion sensor that Ring has, and I just put it on the nightstand. So when he gets up, it dings, and you
Yeah.
can change the ding to make it longer or louder. I just need a little one. I wake up pretty
Right.
easily, and what's nice too is in the mornings and stuff when I'm up, I can tell when he wakes up because it'll let me know so I don't have to worry about checking on him all the time. Or I also have a camera on him too, so I can,
Mm.
do either. But that way I can move around the house freely and not really have to worry. And it's a very subtle thing. And it's loud enough that, you could hear it, on one level of a house. But I'm sure you could even turn up
Yeah.
the volume on it. And
Listen, I love that idea. I love the idea of using the Ring device
yeah, if you
because,
already have the system, but even if you don't, I suppose you could just, get that system. And the other thing I like about it is you can move it.
yeah.
So let's just say he falls asleep on the couch. I can move it to the living room and use it there too, right? So
And
yeah.
I think I like that better than the mats because it is a loud alarm and that
Oh,
is
is it?
very jarring.
Yes, this is just
I've
pretty
tried
subtle.
personally, I've tried a couple different alarms and you know, they, they met the purpose, but it was in such a jarring way. And who needs that in the middle of the night? Not you and not your loved one.
Yeah,
So,
I have it set to like a ding ding,
yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
Okay,
And if you're a
good.
heavy sleeper, you might need something a little longer, but it gives you like maybe six or seven different noise options, And actually we have that on all the windows and all the sliders and everything. So if he opens anything in the house, we know anything that can open downstairs, we know about
Mhm.
it.
Good. And then I would also suggest the use of labeling, because someone mentioned toxins and things. Those things need to be locked away. They need to be locked up because people will mistake poison for toothpaste. You just never know what's going to happen. So I would label everything and I would lock things up as best you can. Certainly all medications, also all toxins, all chemicals, things in the garage. I mean, I found my person wandering in the garage one day when I'd been in the kitchen fixing lunch. I really just took my eyes off for a couple minutes. And that's when I realized that you can't. I mean, you have to worry that even if you take your eyes off them for a couple minutes, they can get into trouble. And that's what I mean on the slide by prevent unsafe behaviors. Keep your eyes open. Cameras are good. Alarms are good. Locking up dangerous substance. All of those are, locking hazardous areas. All of those things are really important. And then just simplifying the layouts in your rooms so that there's a clear path. Um, in addition to removing the clutter, you just want to make sure that you've got an easy path from place to place. So, yeah, you guys have some great suggestions and I really appreciate it. And then we have so much technology now. I mean, I had never heard of many of these things until more recent years. And I'm pleased to say that we've got great tracking systems, we've got great alarms, home monitoring systems, all kinds of technology that can help, including those motion sensors, that we were just talking about. But I'm not sure about the robot vacuums. What do you guys think? Does anybody have one? I forget what they're called. The little things that scoot around by themselves.
Roomba.
Yes. Do you have one, Maria?
No, I didn't like it.
Yeah. I don't know if I want that thing scooting around without my guiding it.
I
So,
tried, but I didn't like it. I was
yeah.
going to ask, for the tracking systems, does anybody have a lower cost system that might have because right now we have Life 360 on me and my kids' phones. And so unfortunately the trackers on Life 360 are kind of they're not thin. They're not very thin. So he always plays with them. If we put them in his pocket, we tried hooking it to his belt clip. Um,
Yeah.
and so I don't know if anybody has had any luck with a good tracking system, but
Looks like Pat maybe can respond to that.
Yes, well, like I mentioned, I don't live with the person, so it's a little bit different, but I use air tags.
Yeah.
I put him on his bike bag on his bike, so when he goes for a bike ride, I can track. I put him on his keychain
Hmm.
and in his car and in his truck. Someone suggested putting it on the phone because he lost his phone recently. I had to go over and find it, and it was real easy because it was right where I thought it would be. But the AirTags have been helpful for me as a tool. My daughter tried my daughter tried the Life 360 on her dad, but he kept getting the messages telling him how fast she was driving and where she was going. So we haven't gone back to
Oh
that, but
gosh.
I'm willing to try it because I need more help tracking now than just me doing stuff. So I'm
Yeah,
looking for
you
other
know
ideas.
what? I think the air tags are really easy to use and they're simple and they can even be in somebody's shoe. We have a lot of information on technology. I don't know if Rachel, if you do too at your place, but at the end of this presentation, there'll be a number for our helpline. You can call and ask for technology information that can be helpful in a number of ways. Anybody else have anything they're doing that they want to share with everyone?
I have something to share.
Yes, Holly.
Yeah, so of course, we have concerns of safety, and that's why we're on this call. Um, I would highly recommend if anybody has a family member that seizes out of their bed and is in a hospital bed, um, depending on the circumstances, I find that those gym mats that can be purchased on Amazon and or that you would see like say at a 24-hour fitness, they're like a
Hmm.
thick gray pad. They'll stick to the floor in case your family member like seizes out of bed. So there's less of a um, injury.
Impact, right.
Yeah, to your family member. And then you could also like, you could hose them down or you can use, whatever, your Lysol cleaner. It's a lot easier to clean than like the other like yoga mats that don't protect them. And I
That's
just,
a that's a great idea, Holly.
yeah, because as we know as caregivers, we're doing the jobs of nurses, but we don't
Right?
have the EVAC team there to clean it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the
Exactly.
staff to do it. So a lot of times we just jump into, for the next round. And
Yep, yep.
I, those do help with padding, in addition to like gripping. I find that it does help like with the transfers into the shower if they're able to shower one-on-one with a posy belt. Like it kind of
Hmm.
helps that individual that you love you're caring for to not have they kind of have more of a bearing, even if they have visual issues and or they're having a psychotic episode. It kind of just grounds them when they start to feel afraid, and it kind of grounds the caregiver too that they won't slip depending on what they're dealing with.
That is so interesting. I hadn't thought about it from that aspect, but that makes perfect sense. And Holly, I mean, it's got those kinds of mats are just going to reduce accidents. And if you do have accidents, it's going to lessen the impact. So I think that's really great. The other thing I would recommend, and I don't know if you use this, Holly, but like a half rail, portable half rail can be applied to the bed. And that way, I mean, it's just like a
Oh yeah,
I don't know how to describe it, but it's
mhm.
something they can hang on to and pull themselves up and over on this, like they're sitting on the side of the bed, and it helps to position them for a safer transfer from bed to floor.
Correct. And sometimes it helps me to get out of bed um, as well.
You can haul
And then
yourself out with it, right? Yeah.
hey, I'm an honest person. And you know,
I know what you mean.
do you know
Well,
what I mean? And the bed
yeah,
rails are really long, right?
so
So yeah,
you don't need a full bed rail. It's
yeah,
just like it's I think
yeah.
it's called a half rail, but
They're the best. Half rails
they
are the
are the best.
best.
So you
Yeah.
can get those on Amazon too. And then there are stores that sell home care equipment. And I'm trying to think of the one in Laguna Hills that is right on El Toro Road. I'll have to think about that, but or you can Google it. You can Google it, and some big pharmacies offer, you know, home health equipment as well. Someone had mentioned the toilet and the bath, and I think I get to that in this. I'm sure I do. Yeah, we're going to go through the house room by room, but just want to mention, you know, for the bathroom, you will sometimes need like not only the handrails, the grab bars, but also a raised toilet with rails so the person can help push themselves up, things like that. So we'll talk about that too. Okay, let's see. So we're just trying to develop a mindset here. You know, we want people to feel like they're independent and that they're safe. Um, and we don't want to do that in such a way that overwhelms the person we're caring for. So I always tell people don't remodel your house unless you really have to for some reason, because that's just so confusing to a person with dementia or even just an older adult who isn't feeling well. So we don't want to, you know, sometimes it's just like a series of small changes and add-ons that we do sort of as we go along. We start with the important fixes, the most important things, the real safety pieces. And then, you know, we just kind of gradually add other things, but always keeping
Kim,
safety top of mind. Yes.
can you recommend a slide-in shoe that is safe? That's flat but that grips. So I'm not talking like a chalk or
Yeah.
what do I wear? What do I wear? You know the Crocs that we wear?
Oh, the Crocs. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'm
called
not
it a
sure.
chuck. I'm
Yeah.
not on the clock. Sorry. Can you recommend a slip-in shoe that's easy and less confusing with a good
Yeah.
grip that's flat? Has this ever come
I
up?
don't know. I don't know. The lady I cared for had
Uh-huh.
insisted on these slippers that I was always afraid she was going to come out of, you know. So I don't know. How about our attendees? Anyone have any great suggestions for that for Holly? Footwear?
Can I
We
share?
use the Skechers step-ins.
Yeah,
Um, I
those
got those, and my husband is very happy with them, and it does help his walking with those.
Skechers
They're
step-ins.
wonderful shoes. They're just
Skechers
wonderful.
step-ins.
Great idea.
Thank you.
Was that Kelly that said that?
Okay, Skechers
Yes.
step-ins.
Yeah.
Sketch.
All
Like a
right.
mule style, like they could just put if you could get their foot in it. Skechers
Yeah, the
slip-ins.
kind he
Okay.
liked, I had to do like 3 or 4 different runs to the store to have him try on. But yeah, it's kind of like the old-timey, what I would call a desert boot, but that's what he's using, and he's very happy with them.
Okay, I am keeping an eye on the clock. Right, Rachel? Did we schedule an hour or an hour and
Sorry, I tried to unmute myself and I muted you, Kim. We're scheduled for an hour, but I have the time, and so we are recording. So if folks do have to get off, of course, we have the recording we can always send out.
Okay. Pat, thank you, Rachel. Pat, did you have a question before I move on?
Yeah, I was just getting ready to type it in. I'm in a
Okay.
support group in the Zeba, Z-E-B-A shoe. It's a slip-on shoe that was recommended by one of the families there. And they said it's easier than anything with shoelaces, and it was working for her husband. Somebody else tried it and didn't. But anyways, Zeba is the brand.
Thank
Thank,
you.
thank
And
you.
I don't recommend flip-flops. All right, so let's do a room by room review, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. But if you need to ask a question or make a comment, because your comments have all been so valuable, please just speak up. So entryway basics, I talked already about those clear pathways. We want to add railings. We want non-slip surfaces. We need to improve lighting, and we want to use easy to open handles. So I'm not sure this is the best picture. I would declutter that. I don't know if this is supposed to be a good example or a bad example, but I wouldn't want that loose rug in there. And I really don't think I want that bench and the flowers and all of that. So I think we really need to keep that area open, clear, well lit. And if we're caring for someone with dementia, we want to sort of disguise it as an exit in any way that we can. Um, Security considerations around the entryway. Well, obviously the risk of wandering or exiting, eloping. So we can use door alarms or alerts. I like putting a deadbolt up at the top on the inside so that they don't see it and they're not going to fiddle with it, but you can open and close it. I don't know if anybody's used that. We want to reduce those exit queues. So again, keeping the keys and purses away from that entryway. Living room safety, get rid of the rugs and cords, create clear walking paths, use stable supportive furniture. Why? Because they do what we call surfing, furniture surfing. And if they're surfing on a rocking chair, they're going to fall. So we want to have good stable furniture and we want to have good lighting. Living room, more living room considerations, reduce visual clutter, avoid busy patterns. Um, I'll never forget one of the big fancy memory care units years ago opened up, and I went to the open house and they had carpet throughout it that was like a bed of roses, red and pink, beautiful roses. So guess what was happening once they got their clients living in there? They were trying to pick the roses. So they were bending over. They were trying to pick the roses. So that is not the pattern that is desirable. We want something solid. Um, if it has, different variations, then they're going to maybe misread what they're seeing. It can cause delusions. It can cause trip hazard, etc. So keep everything consistent and just have familiar objects around. You don't want to go shopping every week and bring home a whole new bunch of stuff. Not that you have time to shop, right? Okay. Kitchen. Okay, the kitchen is almost as dangerous as the bathroom. So keep everything like at waist level for you. Make sure the things you need or you don't have to reach for them or bend all the way down for them. If there are spills, you need to, of course, clean those up immediately. Improve your task lighting and keep a fire extinguisher accessible. And what else? What do we need to lock up in the kitchen? Knives, right? Okay. Anything else you can think of in the kitchen? What about looking for that expired food? Right? Someone mentioned that in the beginning.
Scissors.
Scissors. Absolutely. Yep. All of that needs to be done. There is a risk of people leaving the stove on and leaving the gas on, just partially turned on. So there are stove safety devices that can prevent that from happening. Again, lock away dangerous items and monitor food safety. I sound like I'm giving you all this homework to do, and I know how busy you are and I know how tired you are. But if you can just tackle some of these things room by room using the worksheet that we're giving you, I think it's more scalable. It's more doable for you. In the dining room, keep the table set up simple. Use color contrast for visibility, and I recommend Fiesta ware. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's like plastic um, uh, plates and all uh, the silverware and cups and little plates, all different colors. And I think it's really helpful. You know, there's a lot of weight loss associated with dementia toward the last stages. And so sometimes people just don't even see the food because you're putting mashed potatoes on a white plate. So there's no contrast there. So Fiesta ware can be very, very helpful. And it does encourage people to eat more. They've actually done studies that have shown people gain weight if they're eating off of like red plates. I guess people find it more exciting. So reduce distractions during meal times, maintain a routine, make sure you're hydrating your loved one all the time and yourself. You know, make water your drink of choice. Bathroom safety, those grab bars we talked about, non-slip mats, add a shower chair. I would say the handhold shower is best, like you see in this picture, because they can actually hold it and control it themselves. People, you know, it's very humiliating to have someone bathing you. It can be
Yes.
humiliating. So we want to give people as much control as possible. And we also want to, you know, be conscious of their modesty. So, you know, draping towels over certain areas can be helpful. Let's see, what else? Improve nighttime lighting, those sensor lights. If I'm leaving anything out, just let me know, folks. Simplify the toiletries, and you do have to watch people. You know, they may, after, if they have dementia, in time, they may think this hand soap is the toothpaste. The pump soap looks like toothpaste, so you have to really watch it. You want labels, visual cues. Um, be empathetic to people's fear or resistance as best you can. And like I said, help them to maintain dignity. Um, Imagine what it would be like for you if someone started taking your clothes off and you know, telling you, "Oh, let's get in the shower. I'm going to give you a bath." I mean, that would be pretty tough to take. So. And you know, the best advice I can give you about bathing and showering is make sure you have everything together in one place in the bathroom so that you're not standing there providing assistance to someone and you realize you forgot the shampoo and you've got to leave them unattended to go get it. So, you know, just really having a checklist of what you need and keeping the room warm. You know, older adults usually are a little colder than we are. So I know when I used to provide assistance with bathing for my client, I used to wear, you know, like a tank top and shorts, even in the dead of winter, because I was really warm. It was steamy in there, but it was perfect for her. It was perfect. And it was a comfort to her. Some nice music helps too. So bedroom, safety basics. You want a clear path to the bathroom. I mentioned that early on. And either leave the door open so they can see it, you know, with the lighting, or put a picture up of a toilet so they know where to find it in the hallway. Add night lights. Make sure the bed's not too high and try that half rail. I think it's very helpful. Keep essentials nearby, just like in the bathroom. Address nighttime wandering with, the mats or the ring that we just learned about today. I thought that was really great. Use simple clocks or cues. Let's see what else. Reduce noise and clutter and consider electronic monitoring if need be. Hallways and pathways, keep them clear, improve that lighting, add handrails if needed, and remove obstacles. Stairs, you see how they have the rails on both sides. They've got non-slip treads, good lighting, and the edges are marked for visibility because remember they have trouble sometimes with contrast. If you need to put in a ramp, that will help to reduce that person's fall risk because it's best to maybe consider at some point limiting stair use altogether if possible. You could even move their living space downstairs. If you have a bedroom downstairs, or if you could manage that, it might be best to keep them off the second floor or third floor and keep them on the ground floor for safety. Laundry room, and I think there's one even for the garage here. Both are kind of the same. You just want to make sure those chemicals are locked away or stowed safely where a person can't get into it. Keep the pathways clear, keep the lighting good, and limit access if unsafe. Just lock that room up when you're not using it. Same with the garage. Keep things off the floor, make sure chemicals are locked up, and put things that you use a lot within easy reach. Outside the home, keep your paths even and clear, add lighting and railings, remove hazards, and encourage safe outdoor use. I know this is not available in a lot of places, but in the city where I live, Laguna Beach, they have a program called Lifelong Laguna, and it's part of it is a collaboration with Habitat for Humanity, and they will actually bring someone out to build ramps and to put up grab bars and to help you with safety features for free. So you might try your city and see if they have anything available like that. Enclosed garden is nice. It's wonderful to be able to sit outside and get some fresh air and sunshine. It's good for both of you, but you want to make sure that it's a safe and enclosed place. Consider the use of ID bracelets or trackers in case that person manages to escape, and just create, I don't know, try to be as zen-like as possible. Just calm, simple. Doesn't have to be fancy, but just the kind of place where you can sit and go, ah. Be prepared with those emergency contacts that I mentioned earlier. Make sure you check your smoke detectors and your is it the CO2 monitor? Yeah. Have a plan for falls or wandering and prepare for caregiver emergencies. That's that backup plan in case of emergency that everyone needs to have. Okay, so next steps. I want you to take advantage of the handouts that we're going to send you. And when you have the time, just do a complete home safety walkthrough of your house and try to look at it through different eyes. Maybe look and see what are 3 changes, not 10, but just 3 that I could make this week. What can you plan for future needs? And just remember that the longer you keep things safe at your house, the longer that person and yourself will be able to live there. And then do connect with us and connect with Rachel's organization. Our telephone helpline has a lot of information and referral. Like I said, you could get tracker information, other technical devices that might be helpful, and you'll also receive additional emotional support, education, and resource referrals. Again, I encourage you to use both of our organizations. Also, there's the Alzheimer's Association. I know it's confusing to people because we're Alzheimer's Orange County, and there's also the Alzheimer's Association. But if you're caring for someone with dementia, you need all the help you can get. So using all three organizations makes a great deal of sense. We all might have things that the other doesn't have. So, okay, so how am I with my time now? Did I do it? Oh, I ran over.
Oh, you did great. Great
But
and very, very helpful.
do we have time for a couple
Of
questions, or did
course,
we,
absolutely.
any questions that we
Absolutely.
didn't talk about during the course of the presentation? And it was so nice to see some of you. Like Holly, I haven't talked to you for ages. Yeah, really good to have you here.
Thank you, Kim. Can you please
Yeah.
just give one more shout out to all of us in South OC of the entity we might not know about at Laguna Beach that works with Habitat? So we can maybe
Sure.
pivot over there for patients and loved ones we take care of.
It's called Lifelong Laguna,
Lifelong Laguna.
and it's
Okay.
a program dedicated to keeping seniors in their own home.
Hey, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Laguna Beach
Lifelong
doesn't
Laguna.
have any assisted living
No, they
um,
don't. No.
places. Really people are trying to stay at home, and organizations like Lifelong help them to do that. And so you may have services like that in your own city. Yeah. Such a pleasure to be with all of you. I commend you, and I just think the world of all of you. I know you're doing the very, very best job possible, and I know how exhausting that is, and I know how lonely and isolating it can be. So please take advantage of the support groups of the Caregiver Resource Center and Alzheimer's Orange County, and I hope to see you along the way at another session.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim, and thank you, everyone. I've been taking notes throughout the presentation, so in addition to the information we'll be sending out from Alzheimer's OC, I will also be sending out different shoes that we talked about, Lifelong Laguna, and all the different things that we talked about. So you'll have all those resources, and if we missed anything, please call us, call Alzheimer's OC, Alzheimer's Association. We're very lucky we have a lot of support here in Orange County. And with that, thank you, everyone. And we all hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take good care of yourselves. You're very important.
Thank you.
Yes, and bye everyone, and bye
Take
Rachel. Thanks for
care. Thanks
having
so
me.
much, Kim. Thank you, everyone. Take care.